Hello guys, I hope wherever you're watching us from, you're having a great time. This is AvriPost and welcome to today's video. In many videos that we've done here, we've always highlighted the need for Africa to grow and develop by itself because many of our countries tend to depend on Western nations. And these nations always do not come with clean hands. When they come to Africa, they tell you that we are coming with aid, but then they use this aid as a veil to steal from you. Africa is endowed with a lot of natural resources that many of these Western nations would really want to have their hand on. But then few leaders in Africa have always stood out and they have fought against these Western ideas. One of them is the renowned leader, Colonel Muammar Gaddafi. Gaddafi was killed by NATO, and the main aim of his killing was that he was funding some terrorist organizations and that he did not adhere to human rights laws. But one question that many have asked is that why the double standards? Because the way they treat African leaders is totally different with the way they treat European leaders. Ask yourself why they have never at any moment gone for people like Benjamin Netanyahu, because looking at what he's doing in Gaza, nobody would really think that that is even close to what Gaddafi did in Africa. And in fact, Gaddafi did not fight his people. His main fight was against those who were invading his country and planting seeds of discord. And this is why in today's video, we bring you one African leader who has stood up against Western dictatorship and Western control that they have continued to perpetuate in Africa. This is Uganda's President Yowei Kaguta Museveni. I want us to listen to this speech, then react to it after the video. Let's watch.
Shallow people who try to, this is the only truth. Rubbish, we don't have time for that. We don't have time. Yes, it is bringing some illumination on the problem, but tomorrow we may see something better. So it should be open, not. So we don't want to be part of that stupidity of this is the only way, this is the only way, this is the only way. So that's why we say, please. Even the communists were making their own mistakes because also they had some of that dogmatic. This is the only way. So that's why we said, and then they turned out also to make some mistakes. So that's why our elders rightly said no. For us, we shall judge each issue according to its merit. And that's how it all started with the NASA, with Nkrumah, with the Nehru, with the Tito, Joseph Tito. Bannerite, yes. So that's the theory. That's the logic. We don't want to automatically. You look like as if you are not serious. It's totally wrong. Because human political thought is evolving. We are seeing things better each day. So why should we say, oh, this is the only way? This is the only way. For us here, we use all ideas, private enterprise, state enterprise, because it can work in some situations. Family enterprise. We think the non-aligned is very useful for the world.
Well, you were a very active participant of the great events of the late 80s. You played a very important role in politics of Uganda. And what, if you compare your goals from that period to now, what results you can say that it's done, and what you have more expectation for the future?
Well, we started in the 60s, which were the main goal was decolonization, which we have achieved. But as I've told you, decolonization without integration in Africa was an incomplete story. And, but that's what we are working on. Then also there are the historical distortions of Africa only producing raw materials and not adding value. Now this is at the back of the crisis which is going on in Africa now. Because when you don't add value, you lose a lot of, for instance, if you take coffee, the global business of coffee is $460 billion. But all the coffee producing countries, all of them, Brazil, Colombia, Vietnam, Uganda, all of them, they only share $26 billion out of the 460 billion. So you can see the massive loss of value to other people for no good reason. Because if you want coffee, why is it not processed fully where it is produced, and then you sell it when it is? In that case, the coffee producing countries would get more value, because if you roast the coffee, you grind it and pack it here, you will get about $25 per kilo. But now, when you sell just bean coffee, you get only $2.5. So this massive loss of value is really a big mistake, and it's not fully done. It's not done actually, and that's why so you are not in every kilogram of coffee you are losing money, but also losing jobs. Because that job of roasting is now done outside. It creates jobs for somebody else. The job of grinding is exported. The job of packaging is exported. So that's still not. You are trying in Uganda, but it is a big struggle, and it is not fully done.
You know, Mr. President, I will ask a very personal question as very wise and very experienced politician. Africa now plays the more important role in our world. What do you think, you personally, as such experienced, such a wise person, about the future African continent?
The future of the African continent is bright because Africa has really been underpopulated. Remember that Africa is 12 times the size of India. You can fit India into Africa 12 times. But our population has been, up until recently, was smaller than the population of India. We have now overtaken India, and this was because of the tropical diseases. This climate is good for the human being, but also good for his enemies, for the mosquitoes, for the tsetse flies. So with the low level of technology to deal with the vectors, the insects which were spreading diseases, the population remained small. But now, because of the improved science, we have been able to control the vectors, and the population now is growing. In the next 30 years, Africa will be having 2.5 billion people. There will be more or less a quarter of the human race will be here. So, and they are understanding more the mistakes of the past. Like this one, what I'm talking about, the raw materials, they are now understanding it. The political elite are seeing that.
Yes.
Then also they had mistakes about concepts of army building, concepts of political organization. They had some mistakes. Like for instance, with the ideology, some of the groups were emphasizing identity. I am this religion, I am this tribe. They were emphasizing the politics of identity. And like some of us in the 60s, we were chatting with them and saying, no, when you emphasize politics of identity, you are misleading yourself, because identity will not solve your problems. Problems of hunger, of disease, of poverty. Why don't you look at interests rather than identity? Because like in my tribe, we are cattle keepers. We are a tribe of cows, of cow people.
Yeah.
But if you look carefully, my cow people don't buy from me, because they also have cows. They have cows, I have cows. They have milk, I have milk. They don't buy from me, I don't buy from them. So, okay, we say we are cow people. But how is our groupism solving our problems?
How to work.
How to live? So you find that the other tribe who don't have cows actually are the ones who buy my milk. They're the ones who buy my beef. So that's why we said, you people, you are misdirecting yourselves. When you emphasize identity, you are actually an enemy of your group, because you are against their prosperity. So therefore, and this ideology of sectarianism, because that's what causes sectarianism. Sectarianism comes from emphasizing identity rather than interests. Because if me, although I am a cowman, my real interest is people to buy my milk, to buy my beef. Because when they do that, I become more prosperous. But if somebody says, no, we the cow people, and he cuts me off from the other tribe, that's the politics of sectarianism, which you see causing a lot of damage to many countries in the Middle East. All those problems you see there, they are from that mistake, ideological mistake. What is primary? Interest or identity? If you say identity, you are lost. I can guarantee you, because you will not solve the problems of prosperity of your people by emphasizing identity. So that mistake is becoming clear now. So I can see that the ideological mistakes are being understood, and the strategy mistakes, like depending on raw materials rather than adding value. So, and the population is going up, and it's getting more educated. Education is also increasing. So the future of Africa is very bright. We have problems now, insecurity, because of those mistakes. But where you address the mistakes, you succeed.
Uganda is a common home for very different people. I just write the name, I read the names, the Aganga, the Baninkore, the Basoga, the Bakiga, the Etesa, and different others. How can you keep this peace and understanding between all of them?
Actually, those people are essentially four groups, because all those, some of them are the same group, just same language, but with just I wouldn't even call them dialects, accents, different. I mean, you could call them dialects, but of the same language. So they are essentially four groups: the Bantu, the Nilotics, the Nilo-Hamitic, and the Sudanic. But as I told you, our movement, our political movement, which started as a student movement in the 1960s, rejected the politics of identity. Precisely. We showed them that this is a pseudo, we call it a pseudo ideology. Do you know that word pseudo? Pseudo, tell him the pseudo. P-S-E-U-D-O.
Pseudo, yeah.
So we told them that that's a pseudo ideology. The ideology of identity. And we are competing with other groups,
yes,
who are saying identity is important. For us, we said, no, identity is important to some extent, but don't take it too far. If you take it too far, you act against yourself. So that's how we were able to overcome. It's an ideological problem. It's not a problem of culture or anything. It is ideological. Yeah. Pseudo ideology. So we defeated it. That's why we win elections on the first round. We are supposed to, if we don't get more than 50%, we are supposed to go back for, we have never won for second round. We always win in the first round. Because the majority of the people saw our pain. Interests, not identity. That's really the issue. It is ideological, political.
You know, Mr. President, our team on the second day here in Uganda, and we impressed how beautiful country, you know, and you have savannas, you have forest range, you have wildlife, you have everything in Uganda. What do you think about the tourism, to invite people from Russia, from different countries to Uganda, and what you do for that? And what place for tourists you would recommend personally?
Oh, the whole, whenever I go to Europe, I tell them, how can you be less informed than the birds? Because the birds know this, the birds.
Yeah.
In winter, they all come here and go back in summer. So when I went to Sweden, I said, you people, how can the birds be more informed than you people? What are you doing here in the winter? Why don't you come and spend the summer in Uganda and spend the winter, their winter in Uganda? So,
Good idea. Very good idea.
Very good. And the Russians were always freezing in those places. You know, in 1969, I was a student, and I went for a conference in North Korea, Kim Il-sung. It must have been like maybe September or October there. And when we were coming back, first we stopped in Prague, and from Prague we went straight to Pyongyang. But when we were coming back, we stopped in a place called Irkutsk. And it was not yet winter. It was, I think it was October, because we were coming back for the school, for the university opening. And they said, oh, it's now autumn, but the temperature is -2 degrees. So what will happen when the real winter comes?
How you were dressed?
The North Koreans had informed us, and we had some. So then from Irkutsk, we flew to Moscow, and I stayed there for 5 days, and then we flew to Cairo. So here, it so happened that this good climate is because of latitude and altitude. The confluence of the two. We are right on the equator, but also with the high altitude. Because here where we are sitting is 1,300 meters above the sea, here. And some parts of Uganda are up 5,000 meters. So you find permanent snow on the equator. Now, there are not many places in the world which are like that.
Absolutely.
Actually, I think there are only 3 in the whole globe. There is a place called Ecuador in South America. I have never been there, but
you have to go there to compare.
But I suspect it could be. Then you have Uganda. Then you have a part of Kenya, near Mount Kenya, because that's where the equator passes. Now, most of the time the equator is passing through low-lying areas, low altitude, like the Amazon forest in South America, the Amazon, the forest, the Congo forest, very humid, a lot of humidity. Then the equator goes into the ocean. Then it emerges in parts of Indonesia and the Philippines. Very humid. So it is here. It is the only place where we are on the equator, but also with a high altitude. Well, that's why the climate really is unique and nice. So we use it to advise tourists to come. They are coming. We are now about 1.6 million tourists, but we can have many more than that. When I see that 23 million tourists are going to Spain, I say, well, what are you going to do in Spain? Why don't you? So we tell the Russians that...
We do. It's our program. You know, we remember that your experience 1969 in Irkutsk. That's why we organized second summit Russia-Africa in July.
Yes.
Not to have the same experience like that time. You know, Mr. President, I am a journalist and I have to put also the actual question. Not which in my papers, but it's actual question because I want to ask a question about the bill which was confronted by your parliament yesterday. What do you think about this bill? Sorry, I'm a journalist, I have to put the direct question. Have you your plans to sign this bill?
You see, the question of this homosexuality, what is it? Is somebody born as a homosexual? Is it biological? Or is it an acquired habit? We need to answer that first. Then, but what annoys people most are the Western countries. Western countries are the ones who are provoking our people. Because they come, first of all, I think they sponsor some NGOs which come and bring money and try to say homosexuality is all right. And we of course, we reject that. We reject that. And we have said so. I was in the US recently, and I was discussing with one young lady who was Assistant Secretary of something, of Africa, I think. And she was raising all of this. I said, but Madam, our view of homosexuality is a deviation from normal. There is the normal, and then there is a deviation. You cannot promote a deviation. And you say, deviation, wrong leave. No. Certainly you cannot promote. So promotion is for sure wrong. Because what are you promoting? This is not the normal. So if there is a deviation from normal, don't promote it. Don't come to recruit, because they come to recruit our young children here to be used by them so it's a sort of prostitution, actually. It's a type of prostitution. So that promotion must stop, and they must stop trying to tell us you should do this. No. I told them, don't do this again. I don't want to hear again, you must do this, you must do that. If you don't do that, there will be a cost. What cost? What cost? We want friendship, but on the basis of equality, not on any. But then after we deal with that arrogance, ourselves, we must answer the question of what is homosexuality, scientifically speaking. Is somebody born like that? Now, if somebody is born like that, it is a deviation from normal, but it is like other deviations, like when somebody is born without an arm, without. So then what do you do? Or is it caused by psychological factors?
Yep.
So what causes this deviation? Is it inborn, or is it circumstantial? And if you answer that, then you can get how to handle it. Yeah. But the other aspects must be out completely. The promotion, the attempt to say that what is a deviation is a normal, is because the Western countries are behaving as if there are two ways of life. Two ways of life. You can either do this or this. This is impossible. It can't be, because life would not exist then if so we don't accept that misrepresentation. But we need to discuss more detail ourselves, within ourselves, to discuss more thoroughly, not emotionally. Because many people are annoyed by these NGOs. Because they bring money here, they try to recruit our children. They are the ones actually who are provoking this. So I have told my Western friends, please don't play with fire. Stop this. Don't play with fire. African people will not tolerate this.
I think from that clip it is self-explanatory. President Kaguta Museveni speaks about the control that the Western nations have in Africa. He says he will not be pushed to do what Western nations want. He will create his own enemies and also create his own friends. He does not want anybody to decide for him anything that he's doing. And if I look at it, I also tend to agree with what he's saying, because Africa has for many years been controlled by these Western nations and told what to do, and They have decided that they know the destiny of Africa better than Africans themselves, and this should not be the case. I believe as Africans, we are also very important and we must be respected and be given space to decide what we think is right for our continent, decide what is good for our people, and to have a culture that promotes unity within the continent. Because if you look at it, you would understand that Western nations will never support anything that supports unity of Africa. All they want is create enmity between ourselves and create enmity between us and people who can try to support our nations in growth. For instance, the West wants us not to have any trade relations with Russia. They also don't want us to have trade relations with China. Why is this happening? Because they know China and Russia will come with genuine development agenda. Yet, for them, they have always used our natural resources without any payback that they are doing. Please tell us down in the comment section what you think about this issue. Do you really support President Kaguta Museveni on his stand that he will not support any manipulation from Western nations? Also, if you're watching us for the first time, don't forget to subscribe to this channel, like this video, and also share. Thank you, and may the good Lord bless you. Goodbye.